Welcome back to Going Walkabout. We've been in Mexico quite a lot over the last 3 years. We've been traveling to mountain cities as well as beautiful places by the ocean. So we really feel we've gotten to know the country very well and its people. With that said, what we see is consistently friendly and happy people. It's no wonder that the UN-backed report that was done this year actually has Mexico ranked as the 10th happiest country in the world. Just to give some perspective, Canada ranks at 18th and the United States at 25th. And while reports like this aren't something you can take to the bank, they do make you realize, especially when you've been in a country and you've seen the people actually pretty happy on a daily basis, there might be some validity to a report like that. And while Mexicans are happy people, there are a few things that do kind of get under their skin. In this video, we're going to explore 6 things that annoy Mexicans. It's things that, quite honestly, I've done myself. So hopefully, if you've got a chance to listen to these, they won't be things that you commit when you come here to this country. We're going to start with number 1, which is, and this was a one I've committed, believe me, Mexicans do not like us calling ourselves Americans. They feel when we do that, it diminishes all the rest of the people that live within the continent of America. When they go to school, they are taught that America is literally South America, Central America, North America. So Canada, the United States, Mexico, Honduras, on and on and on, are all part of America. And in which case, we could all be Americans. Their preference is that we call ourselves people from the United States. And believe me, I have had hundreds of comments about this from Mexican people. So it's something to be aware of in the future, that it's probably not a bad thing to say, hey, I'm from the United States, not I'm an American. I know it's hard to undo things that we learned in our childhood and Pledge of Allegiance and things of that nature, but to not be offensive, it's best if you can use I'm from the United States, not I'm from America. Okay, we have number 2 thing, and that's saying Mexico is cheap. It's very offensive to Mexican people when they hear folks from other countries, be it Europe, Canada, the United States, say, oh, it's so cheap here, because they are very hardworking people and they're suffering inflation just like all the other countries in the world are suffering inflation right now. With that said, they're having to pay the same amount you and I would have to pay for groceries and things of that nature. And so it's not cheap for them. It becomes a little less expensive for us because we can use geo arbitrage, which is either the price of our dollar is higher or we've earned money somewhere else and we're spending it in their country. This is really important to keep in mind as you go shopping and you're talking to folks that are selling you items during the day in Mexico. One of the things that can be the most annoying to the Mexican people is when you haggle over a price of something that they're trying to sell you. And while maybe 40 years ago, this was something that everyone was told, oh, you've got to bargain with people in Mexico because they'll start high and then they'll come down in price. That is no longer the case today. In fact, I've noticed that most things that are being sold are a very fair price right from the start. And in many shops, they'll actually say, please do not offer us a bargaining or anything of that nature. We don't bargain, the price is the price. It's even worse when you look at things that are made by artisans, because they have amazing artisans in this country. And when you're haggling with an artisan over something that's taken them literally hours to make, and you're trying to get them to lower their price, I'm sure many things that are made in Mexico, if they were charged by the hour, would be worth thousands of dollars. And so it's probably one of the worst things that you can do is to haggle on prices. We were out the other day and there was a guy that said, if I buy one, won't you throw one in for free, to this girl who made necklaces and bracelets. That's just really not a cool thing to do. So where in the past haggling and bargaining might have been part of the culture, it is not anymore. Okay, number 4. And that's getting rid of all of the media stereotypes. I know so many of us have a stereotypical picture in our head often of a Mexican guy being some man with a huge handlebar mustache and a big sombrero. Or we have that image that, all Mexicans are dark skin, brown eyes, and black hair. And that's simply not the case. Mexico is comprised of 127 million people. And through the centuries, they've had a lot of different immigration. Back in 1521 to 1821, they actually took in loads of Jews that were being persecuted in Europe. Now, at that time, many of the Jewish people had to become Catholic, but then reverted back to their own religion. And this is after kind of all of the inquisitions and everything in Europe. But to this day, there are literally millions of Jewish people that live in Mexico. And I have a map here, and what you're going to see on the map is the highest concentration is Mexico City. So they're very, very diverse. You'll also see a lot of Mexican people that have very Asian features. And that's because in 1876, a lot of Chinese people came to Mexico to work in the fields and stayed. And so you've got a lot of parts of Mexico that have folks that have higher cheekbones and maybe more Asian style eyes. Then you've got folks that have blonde hair and light colored skin, and that's because a lot of Irish people came to Mexico during the potato famine and stayed. So Mexico is very diverse in what people look like. It's far from the stereotypes that you see in these different periodicals and things of that nature. Along with the stereotypes on how people look, I have noticed that there's also stereotypes on that Mexicans are more, field workers and, do handiworks and artisans and things of that nature, which again is not true. They have over 200,000 software engineers and designers in the country. And every year they have over 130,000 people that graduate from their universities with engineering degrees. This is a very advanced culture when it comes to education. And so we all need to kind of look at the culture and the people in a much different way. And believe me, I can understand why they might feel frustrated if we don't do that. Okay, we're at number 5, and that is assuming that most Mexicans speak English. And that's something that really bothers them. They're incredibly polite people, so they will try their hardest to understand you. However, part of their culture in being polite is that they greet each other every day. They'll say good morning, good evening. They thank each other for transactions that they do, and it's a charming way that they say you're welcome. They say de nada, which is for nothing. And so it's a very, very polite culture, in which case they will try their hardest to understand you. But as a person visiting their country, it makes a world of difference if you can learn some Spanish phrases. And it doesn't have to be a lot. Like I said, just basic greetings are really important to them. If a Mexican person greets you and you don't return the greeting, they do take that as an affront or a bit of a snub. So best to learn as much as you can before you come here so that you don't have to worry about offending anybody, and you'll probably really enjoy it once you start speaking the language. Here we are at number 6, and that's expecting Mexicans to adapt to our culture when we're in their country. I have said this before, Mexicans love to party. I think these people are amazing. They will celebrate anything. They love celebrating birthdays, obviously, but they will celebrate any kind of a holiday, and not in a small way. I mean, we're talking parades and fireworks and everything like that. And because of it, their culture can be quite noisy. It is not unusual for people to party way into the evening and possibly the next morning with music, conversation. They're very happy people in that regard, and that's probably why they rank so high on the world happiness if we come full circle with that little thing. So it's important if you come to their country to not expect things to be quiet if that's what you like. Not expect for people to not try to interact with you and talk to you. Not expect a ton of music and noise. They're very interactive people. That's a huge part of their society. And so if that's not something that you like, maybe not the right place for you. But the worst thing that you can do here as a guest is to try to change them. Last night's a great example. This week here in Mexico is Semana Santa, which is Holy Week, and it's a huge time for people to take time off. Our neighbors literally talked and had music all night until this morning. And you know what? They're enjoying themselves. The worst thing we could have done is say anything, because this is their home and this is their way of enjoying their time off and celebrating their Holy Week. So it's important to be sensitive to that when you're in their country. I have a lot of folks from Mexico that watch my videos, so folks that are from Mexico, please put your comments below. Have I missed anything? I know we do things that annoy y'all, and I think we don't want to, so if you can tell us, that would be great. Leave the comments below. If you haven't had the opportunity to come to Mexico, one thing you will find that along with their politeness, they have a great sense of humor. I've never met people, other than maybe some of the British, who like to laugh at themselves or poke fun at others, and they do it in a very nice way. You can understand why their country ranks so much higher than the United States and Canada with a happiness factor, because they don't have a lot, they might not have a lot of money, but they have a lot of joy for life. And well, my hope is that you found these 6 things helpful and that they will help you have a better time when you come to this fabulous country. If you have, a thumbs up or a like greatly helps the channel, so we'd really appreciate that. Or better yet, subscribe. I do a new video every week. Cheers for now.